I sinned a lot, and it was a sin directly against Elohim, not against other people. And I've come to learn just how bad that was, and at the time, I never thought I was doing anything wrong.
Hello, and welcome. I'm Jody Odell, and this is Walk Like a Hebrew. Walk Like a Hebrew is a podcast focusing on the testimonies of believers who live their lives according to the instructions of Yehovah, God, which are laid out clearly in the books of Moses, the first 5 books in the Bible. We mostly hear the stories of people who have spent the greater part of their adult lives in some sort of religious system, usually mainstream Christianity, and have come out of it with varying degrees of both joy and conflict. But what of the unchurched, those masses of humanity the church always targeted for conversion? What of people who knew little or nothing at all of God or his Messiah Yeshua, whose English name, Jesus, is commonly used as a curse word? If someone were to just pick up a Bible and start reading it with no doctrinal lenses, no dogmas to unlearn, no baggage from their previous faith practice, what would such a person believe when they came to the end of the revelation? In episode 34, I had an amazing conversation with Ryan and Alisa Nakken of Woodland, California, who are those people. When we sat down on a windy day during Shavuot in Orosi, California, Ryan was absolutely new to faith, and Alisa had very minimal church exposure. By their own admission, they had lived their lives as heathens and had no idea what people were talking about in 2020 when biblical and apocalyptic conspiracy theories were tearing through the country like a virus. Join us as we talk about how the tragic circumstances of the birth of a friend's child led to their first encounter with Yehovah. How falling down the rabbit hole of 2020 led them to some unexpected discoveries about the creator of the universe, and what happened when they picked up Bibles for the first time in their lives. Okay, guys, you ready? All right, welcome to Walk Like a Hebrew. We're here at Shavuot. It's Shavuot again with the wind. You know, the Ruach is represented by the wind.
I've heard that. Yeah.
And every year when we come here for Shavuot, it is just this windy. It's amazing. I'm sitting here with Ryan and Alisa Nakken.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing today?
Good.
You having fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. So introduce yourselves real quick.
I'm Ryan. This is my wife, Alisa. We have a son, Maxwell. He's 21 months, and we have one on the way coming in September. We're both from a town called Woodland. We knew each other in high school, but we we were friends, I guess, and then went our separate ways for many, many years. And then in 2016, we reconnected by chance. And, was it 2017?
It was 17.
2017, all right.
Okay.
In 2017, we reconnected by chance, and we got together and stayed together, and we went through some difficult times with our relationship, but things all worked out, and we had our son, we got married. I know we did that backwards. It was by design, and now we're here.
Awesome. So tell me, what was your faith background before you were here in Torah life?
So I had dabbled, I guess you could say, in going to church here and there. I had never been led by my parents to do that. I do remember my mom saying she took me to Sunday school a couple of times, but I guess I didn't. I mean, I remember going into the classroom. I don't remember what happened, but she said I didn't really take to it. I don't have a whole lot of memory of that, but I'd say I've gone to about 3 different churches since I was 12 or so, and just tried to find my calling or just find a place, and it never really worked out, and I didn't have the tools to know what to do. So we reconnected in 17, Ryan and I, and then the last church that I went to was probably in 2016, the Church of the Nazarene. Tried to fit in there and still didn't find my place there. So
yeah, that makes sense. How about you?
Well, the short answer is nothing, no faith. I have run the gamut of not believing in God at all, or gods, or prior to last year I settled on just being, I guess, agnostic and we'll figure it out later type of thing. My parents did take us to church when we were younger for a brief period of time, and I don't really remember any of it at all. I'm now thankful that they did and that my mom tried. I'm grateful for that because her heart was in the right place. But I don't have any memory of it. I mean, short of playing in the church hallway or something. That's about it. And then in both of our lives, we're really not surrounded by anybody who has any sort of faith at all. Obviously, everyone's what we call a good person of the world, and it's just we were not surrounded by the faith, any faith, Bible, anything. It came from nothing really.
Yeah, so it wasn't even like you weren't even like on the fringes or anything. It just wasn't even a consideration.
No, and I have since learned the term heathen. I guess that's what that was.
You're a heathen.
And then we of course did all the things that people do with holidays and all that, but it was never religious at all. To be honest, up until like a few months ago, I had no idea what Easter actually was.
Oh.
It was just a time on spring break as a kid, and we would go somewhere or hang out at home, and then even as adults it was a lot of fun on that Sunday. I don't know why, it was just a fun time with the family. Again, had no clue what Easter was whatsoever. So all the holidays were just family or friends getting together in tradition, because that's what we do in here.
What do you do?
I'm in construction.
Do you work?
I don't. I get the gift of taking care of my children.
Praise God.
And I'll homeschool them. And
awesome.
Yeah, we've come to learn how important that is. How that's the design. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be that way.
We didn't. Oh wait, Ryan had that.
Had what?
Your mother stayed home.
I did. Yeah, my mom did stay home, and that I think helped keep us on the right path as far as what you're supposed to do, what they tell you how you're supposed to live a life. I've since learned, even though I never harmed somebody else or did any, I sinned a lot, and it was a sin directly against Elohim, not against other people. And I've come to learn just how bad that was, and at the time I never thought I was doing anything wrong.
Isn't that awful? Just when that sinks in, kind of horrifying.
Yeah, it is. And so we now ask for forgiveness a lot, and I always say, purge us of the evil that's in us and fill us back with your spirit.
And we'll be asking that every day, I'm sure,
for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we lived, each of us individually, and even once we were together, we did all the things of the world that you do, even before kids and then after kids, and we've now stopped that.
We weren't into hardcore drugs or anything.
No, we did drugs.
Just being regular people. It's a hedonistic lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's very self-focused. Very pleasure.
That's a good way to put it.
What makes you happy, what makes you feel good. Yeah. So that's a huge paradigm shift. So now you got to tell me, how did you get from, being a heathen, your words,
you're right. Yeah.
To here? Because even for somebody who's coming out of faith, this is a huge leap. But for somebody who's not coming from anything at all, I'm dying to know.
Well, so for me, it started back when Alisa was first pregnant. I just started feeling something. I couldn't really express it. Somebody at work, said, "Hey, congratulations! That's great," and it's very spiritual. You'll find that, and I was like, "Oh, you're right. I do feel that. I've never felt that," and didn't do anything about it. Time went on. He was born. Everything was great. It was in January of 2020 that good friends of ours had their son, and he had a birth defect, and it turned out to be much worse than they had thought. And so on the day of his birth and the night, you're getting these text messages and things are going south, and you can read between the lines. I was like, man, knowing the feeling of taking, your child home and then not being able to do that, it was hard to understand. And so for me, it was the first time I had ever prayed, for real. I had prayed about materialistic things when I was a kid and stupid stuff, but I was like, I'm gonna pray. And so I prayed for a couple nights, and he just kind of stabilized. And then I had this vision. It wasn't a dream. I wasn't asleep, but it was in the evening, and all of a sudden I pictured we were all sitting on a porch or something, and the kids were a little bit older, when they were all running. And I was like, wow, okay. I prayed some more. Again, not even knowing what I was supposed to be doing. I'm just asking God, please make this kid okay. And it was tough, but, 3 months later or whatever, he came out of the hospital, and, we'll say he's fine now. He's going to have challenges, but everything's great. And so I was like, whoa, that was a big awakening. Yeah. Like there's something going on. I'm not saying that I had anything to do with it, but it was just, I was told that this kid's going to be okay. So I still worried, but I kind of stopped, and then all of a sudden he was okay. And I don't share a lot of this with Alisa. And then things went on, and the events of the world happened last year in 2020, and that began a quest to find the truth of the world. Like, what's really going on here?
Down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. And a short time later, friends of ours who are not in any sort of faith, we were at a barbecue, and they asked a simple question regarding kind of medical decisions that people make. And it got us thinking, and that sent us down a rabbit hole, which then led to us realizing that those in control of this world, whether it's government, people you don't see, big businesses, all that stuff is all designed for an evil purpose, and it's out to get us. And we became rather concerned, and then time went on, and it was actually July 4th. We had a big party with our friends, and we felt really good. An election was coming up. We were very pro-American people, pro-freedom. Did not put our faith in any person, political party, or anything like that, but very like freedom and the idea of what America is. We were all about that. And so July 4th, we were feeling very good. And then a couple of weeks later, the same friends who asked us to look into this medical question sent us a video kind of saying, hey, some of these people you think are on the good side are actually not. And the video was relating things of the Bible. And I was like, I don't understand what I just watched. And now I'm super confused and very concerned that things are going to get much worse. They're not going to get better. So for a couple weeks when she said we were pretty down, I mean, we were lacking in hope. Like we just brought a child into this world, and what's going to happen? A few weeks later, we went out to the Garcia's farm to discuss with them and some of their extended family and friends the things we had just learned and what are we going to do if things go bad. Right. They said, hey, have you ever looked in the Bible? And we both said, no, we don't. I've never even opened one except in a hotel room once. The Bible to me was that thing with really thin pages and small writing. I didn't.
That's an apt description. I mean,
I didn't understand anything about it, and then they started talking, and it was a Friday night, and then they were pointing stuff out, and they were backing it up, which is what we kind of like. We want like evidence to back up what you're saying, and they were pointing all these things out. And we're not easily swayed people either. We don't go with what the flavor of the month type of thing. So we stayed over, and then the next day was Saturday, and some friends of theirs came over, the Kellys, and they brought more Bibles, and they had instruments, and Jeff had this really long beard, and they were very friendly. In my old ways, I'd have been very worried about that. Like I would have probably said, oh, okay, we need to go. This is weird. That they're going to read Bibles in their house on Saturday? I don't understand. Who does that? But, I guess I had that thought, but I wasn't driven to do that. I was like, okay, let's see what this is. And their music, they were, they're great singers, and then we started, reading, and I was like, wow, something about this feels good. And we stayed an extra night, and then the next day we kept talking and going over things, and we drove home that afternoon, and we looked at each other and we said, do you think we should do this? And we both said, yeah. I remember saying, I don't know a lot, but I know once we start, we can't stop. I did see that. They did show, that part was clear. So, this is kind of a big change. I mean, they mentioned you can't do you don't do the holidays, and you don't eat, the certain foods, and, we're like, oh, well, whatever. That's fine. Okay, we can do this. It's something. And from there, it just kind of blew up. We ordered Bibles. A week and a half later, they arrived, and I had already stopped watching television. I couldn't handle what was going on in the world, and I was a big sports guy. I couldn't handle what sports had become. Stopped watching it cold turkey, so I started reading the Bible and powered through it.
You finished it in January?
Yeah.
The big study Bible?
Yeah.
You read through the whole study Bible?
The big
The big one?
Like the 2
in like how many months?
I don't know. I guess it was in January I finished it. Yeah. But I mean, I read it fast. I don't, like I said, if you cite a verse or something, I'm not going to be like, oh, okay, I remember where that. It's like I just generally got the understanding of it. All we knew when we started this was the Torah.
Right.
That's all they had told us about. And that's all when you start from the beginning, that's all you know. And so we were missing Messiah Yahusha the whole time. It's like I knew Jesus. I knew he kind of had a sort of an understanding, but it wasn't until I finally got to the New Testament that things started to really click, and then I started to feel closer to him. It's been one blessing after another since then.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Doesn't it make you feel like
there's a purpose?
Yeah.
Like we're living for a reason. Not that you weren't a reason to live, Ryan, but
no,
I feel like
agree. I
there's
totally
something
agree.
More out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if mine is much different. Ryan zipped through the Bible. I'm in Kings.
Me too.
I do remember he said, read Matthew, because we were trying to understand where Jesus Christ fit.
Right.
And we really not having any background in any sort of religion, not that this is a religion, but we just had no idea.
Right.
So,
yeah, when I got Matthew, it was like, whoa, stuff clicked. It was like, wow, this is how you can live day to day. Because we would struggle with things. And yeah, I said, babe, you got to skip ahead. And I know everyone starts there, and you really need to start on page 1. But now that you've read page 1 and through the first 5 books, go to page whatever with Matthew.
Yeah, so I did read Matthew, and I understand him, but I think it was 3 months ago I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't really know how he works, and that he's the Messiah, and that our Father gave him to us, and we need to be like him, and it's all made sense.
Yeah, and what he did, what that represents, and what that means, and how we've been allowed the chance to come back to him. It's something we do not take lightly. We will not, this is our one chance, and we will not screw it up, no matter what. And we're thankful that this happened now, that, our son is only going to know this.
Yes.
With all the other children that are, here with people of the community, they're so blessed in that they're the first in who knows how many generations, if not thousands of years, to actually know the truth. And I look at all these children, they're such a blessing in more ways than what you normally think. And so we're going to do everything we can that all of our children are this is all they know.
Yes.
You think about starting a family and carrying on your lineage.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're carrying it on for Yahweh.
Yes.
And that is so much more powerful and means so much more to us, I'd say. And then since we found this path, I get to raise children in his kingdom from the beginning, and they don't have to unlearn anything. And I just so thankful, like Ryan said, that we get to do this for our children.
And it's been hard, obviously. I think with our relationship, I mentioned that we've gone through a lot before we came to this walk. Things got really bad, but somehow we were brought back together, and we just worked through so much. I guarantee that everyone around us assumed that we were going to go our separate ways at some point, but we didn't. I can't tell you how much we've worked through, and it's been great. Then when we came to this walk, I kind of just cold turkeyed everything and just started doing. I know I did a ton wrong, and I still do, but it was like I'm done with the world. I know what it is. I'm done with it. I don't need it. Even though everyone around me is trying not physically pull me back in, but you could feel the pull to come back into it. Alisa she was taking care of our son and had a lot going on, and I think there were things that I was like, look, we're not supposed to do this, and she didn't really, either hadn't read it yet or whatever, and we would start to struggle. And so there was all this struggle, again, not anywhere near as bad as it was before, but we went through stuff then. And then I look back on that now, and I realize that was him purging us of the remaining unpleasantness in us that's affecting our relationship. And I think he finally told me, he's like, hey, just let me deal with it. So, I started to pray, and, it was unbelievable that she just out of the blue would say, hey, look, I think we're supposed to do this. A lot of times I didn't even know. I was like, oh, you're right. Or sometimes I was like, yeah, I've been wanting to say that, but I don't want to.
You learn that really fast. A lot of us, it takes us decades to figure out that if you just get out of Yahweh's way, he'll take care of stuff for you. If we're in the way, messing things up, he's going to wait for us to move. So that's impressive.
Well, that's all him.
I'm glad that he didn't make us, that we learned that lesson fast.
Yes.
Yeah. We feel so blessed in that, we came to this when the world as we knew it was over and America as we knew it is over. I have great respect for everyone who came to it. It seems like it's been either a couple years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and then for a tiny minority of people 20 and 30 years ago. But the vast majority, they came to it when things were great. In the past 10 years leading up to now, things have been great of this world. And like I said, I have a lot of respect for people who were able to give up their friends, family, the pleasures of the flesh, and go to him. I think he knew that we were probably weak and waited till now. And that's why we're so committed. Like, he did all this for us. We are not screwing this up at all.
So what did your families think?
There's a lot of questions from my side of the family, which I encourage. They still don't quite understand it, but they're supportive enough and whatnot. The holidays were difficult.
I bet.
We didn't ease into it. We just said, we're not doing this. We're not doing Easter. We're not doing Christmas.
We did Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving's okay.
And my side of the family, they're very supportive, and they've always have been. We were already 180 degrees apart with our views of the way things are.
You mean just being like conservative, like pro-America?
Yes, pro-America type. Yeah, and they're not anti. Well, that sounds bad. We had different views on the way things work of the world.
Right.
And then as we started learning the truths of the world last summer, we became more and more separated from them. And then we started coming, like I say, with the medical things and food, health in general.
Right.
So it was difficult to carry on conversations because there's not a lot to talk about, unfortunately, and I had stopped watching sports.
Right.
So when we told them about this, they didn't understand. And, when I first heard about it from a distant friend that I had who came to it years ago, I didn't understand it either, and I thought he was strange and, made no effort to understand it whatsoever. And so I try to give them grace and patience that they don't understand it. And you can tell that they're hurt at times with it because they want
the holidays and things.
Yeah, and just in general. I mean, there's things that we're not, big family type things that we're not doing now because of what's going on, and they don't understand that either. So that's tough, and it's hard to explain it to them. But overall, they're supportive. If we ever needed something, they would obviously be there for us.
Right.
Which is they didn't cut us off or anything.
So have you discovered any ministries that you like to listen to, resources that you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, so I've been waiting for this question.
All right, good.
So I like Parable of the Vineyard. He does a weekly Torah portion online, and it's great. I like him because he's very new to this as well, and he doesn't sugarcoat the things that are black and white. He does not sugarcoat. He's like, you have to do this. And then the stuff that's less clear and people have different opinions, he says, this is my opinion. This is what I'm led to believe right now. I'm open to discussion on it, and if I'm led a different way, then so be it. And that's what I love, because I can relate. We don't know enough to be firm in the stuff that's not clear.
Right.
So we form our loose opinions, and we roll with it until something directs us, or he directs us another way.
I love that.
So I love the Parable of the Vineyard. We watch that every week. The other one is a ministry online, Truth Unedited. And this one, I'm not even sure how we found. The gentleman who runs it, I don't know if he's a Torah keeper.
Okay.
But he uses the Hebraic names, and he knows pagan things. He's very against all of that. And he has these videos, and a lot of them go back years. It's the history of religion, and he's gone through the Bible. He gets into like actual history of what happened after Messiah. And that's very helpful because we learn the historical facts of what actually, went on. Right. And it's been great. And then what I'm enjoying, like I said, these videos are older. I can see there's a progression with this gentleman. And I think he's realizing that, wait a minute, it's not a new covenant. Because that's how he says it. It's a new covenant, and by grace and the Holy Spirit, we're led, and the law, he calls it the law of Moses. And well, I don't ever remember Moses saying, and I command.
Yeah.
So every time he says that, I kind of cringe. I want to sometimes yell through the iPad that the Spirit is the Word, is the law, is the Torah. It's the same thing. How do you know what you're supposed to do? You're not being drug around by some force. You have to know it's what it is you're supposed to do, and that's the Torah. And so I'm hoping as I go through this series and get to like current times that he comes to this realization.
He comes around.
And then the other one, this will probably be weird for people, is Instagram. And I understand Instagram was designed for evil purposes and its evil intent, but it has woken us up to so much. We have a question and we ask, we might even pray about it, and the next thing we know, we're seeing it on our phones.
Are you sure that's not because the phones are listening?
Well
Sorry.
Well, that's true. I guess but no, it's helped us a lot with the truths of the world and with faith. There's a lot of
stuff we're finding out on Instagram is the stuff they don't want us to know.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's Yahweh's working through that somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then the other resource that we have has been the different translations of the Bible and the extra biblical books. All lay out a lot of stuff on the table and kind of cross-reference and see. That's helped because there's so much. You can tell it's either been lost in translation or it's skipped over for whatever reason. There's a lot, especially in Genesis. I just know there's so much hidden behind all those words, and I'm seeking to find what else is out there. And
when you get to the New Testament, you'll find a lot of things were intentionally changed.
Yeah, the New Testament I can tell is really
very, very
heavily
skewed.
edited, but the truth is still in there, and that's one thing I've learned, that evil cannot hide the truth. Then I actually also use your website because you have everything is aggregated there. The resources everyone else has mentioned, you've compiled them for me and everyone, and it's really easy to go click on the link. So yeah, I do use your website. Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm really glad you guys sat down with me. Wind and craziness and all.
Thank you for listening to Walk Like a Hebrew. You can find links to the resources mentioned in this episode in the show notes on your podcast app, by visiting the link tree in our Instagram bio and Facebook, or by visiting sheholdsforth.com. There are many ways to support this program, including donating at sheholdsforth.com, by making Amazon affiliate link purchases from the show notes, or by getting yourself some sweet Walk Like a Hebrew merchandise on eBay or Etsy. Please like and share our Facebook page, subscribe to Walk Like a Hebrew on your favorite podcast app or YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and leave a review. And as always, many, many thanks to Jack Lane for the music. May Yehovah bless you. We'll catch you next time.